The impossible CHALLENG. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with the murmurs of over 200 species. Massive crystalline chandeliers floated without visible support, casting rainbow patterns across the polished obsidian floor. Delegates from across known space filled the tiered seating arrangement, their diverse biology requiring everything from methane atmospheres to gravity augmentation fields. At the center of it all stood Admiral Kelso, the lone human representative, feeling every bit the newcomer humanity was. 37 years since first contact, and humans were still treated like precocious children who had stumbled into an adult's dinner party. The Confederation faces an unprecedented crisis, announced High Counselor Xarn, her translucent tentacles rippling with bioluminescent patterns that supplemented her speech. The quantum relay network connecting our worlds is failing. The central nexus has degraded beyond repair, and without it, galactic civilization as we know it will collapse within 5 cycles. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing the vast network of quantum relays that enabled faster-than-light communication across the galaxy. At its heart, a pulsing red node represented the failing central nexus. "We have consulted our finest minds," continued Xarn. "The Medusan Computational Collective has run 16 billion simulations. The Arcturian Engineering Guild has attempted 4 full-scale reconstructions. Each has failed. The quantum resonance patterns have become too unstable to replicate with our current understanding of physics." Admiral Kelso shifted uncomfortably in her formal dress uniform. The Earth Confederation had only recently been granted observer status at these assemblies. Humanity's nascent colonies were wholly dependent on the good graces of the Galactic Confederation for their survival. With regret, Xarn's voice resonated through the chamber. "We must begin preparation for the partial collapse of our civilization. Limited travel and communication between major hubs will continue, but outlying systems, including those recently colonized by humanity, will be effectively isolated." Kelso's heart sank. Earth's colonies would be cut off, vulnerable. The Admiral found herself on her feet before making a conscious decision to stand. "The human delegation requests permission to speak," she said, her voice steady despite the flutter of anxiety in her chest. Xarn's compound eyes swiveled toward her. "Granted, though I fail to see what Earth might contribute to a problem that has confounded civilizations with millennia more experience." Whispers rippled through the assembly. Humans were known for their bold statements and reckless initiatives, but this was beyond audacious. "Earth would like to attempt a solution to the quantum nexus problem," Kelso said. The whispers turned to outright laughter from several delegations. A tall, spindly representative of the Arcturian Engineering Guild rose to his full 3-meter height. "With respect to our human colleagues," the Arcturian's voice was melodious, but couldn't hide his condescension. "My species has been building quantum technology for 12,000 years. We've deployed 18 generations of relay systems. This isn't like building a simple fusion reactor or basic gravitational manipulator. The mathematics alone would take your species centuries to master." Kelso nodded respectfully. "We understand the challenge seems beyond us, but humans have a history of solving problems differently. We'd like to bring in a specialist, someone who sees things from a unique perspective." "And who might this miracle worker be?" asked Xarn, skepticism evident in her translator's tone. "Dr. Maya Chen. She's developed theoretical frameworks for quantum communication that differ significantly from Confederation standard approaches." The Arcturian representative made a whistling sound that his translator didn't bother converting. Everyone recognized dismissal when they heard it. "Very well," Xarn said after consulting with other council members. "The council grants humanity permission to attempt a solution. You have 1 standard rotation to demonstrate a viable prototype. If you fail, which is the statistical certainty, all human worlds will still receive humanitarian aid during the coming isolation." Kelso bowed. "Thank you, Counselor. We'll begin immediately." As she left the chamber, a Medusan delegate floated alongside her, its cloud-like body contained within a specialized environmental field. "You realize, Admiral," It communicated directly to her neural implant that you've just volunteered to solve a problem that has stumped the collective intelligence of over 200 advanced civilizations. I'm aware of the odds, Kelso replied. Then why make the attempt? The Medusan's thoughts carried genuine curiosity. Kelso smiled tightly. Because humans don't like being told something's impossible. It makes us want to prove otherwise. 3 days later, Dr. Maya Chen stood in stunned silence before the Quantum Nexus facility on Centauri Prime. The massive installation stretched across an area the size of Manhattan, a bewildering array of technology from dozens of civilizations, working in theoretical harmony to maintain faster-than-light communication across thousands of light years. They said it was big, she muttered, pushing her unruly black hair back from her face. They didn't say it was this big. Beside her, Admiral Kelso watched Chen's reaction carefully. At 42, Chen was already legendary in Earth's scientific community. Brilliant, eccentric, and notoriously difficult to work with. Her theories on quantum entanglement had been dismissed as impossible until she built a working prototype in her garage, appending 3 established laws of physics in the process. "Can you fix it?" Kelso asked bluntly. Chen snorted. "Fix it? I'm not even sure what I'm looking at yet." She gestured toward the facility. "That's 15 different technological paradigms grafted together over thousands of years. It's like asking someone from the Stone Age to repair a fusion reactor." "But you'll try." Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the facility. "Of course I'll try." "They said it's impossible, didn't they?" "That's practically a personal invitation." Within hours, Chen had commandeered a section of the facility and was buried in technical specifications, her augmented reality display filling with equations and models only she could see. 2 days later, she requested a team. "I need people who think wrong," she told Kelso over a comlink. "Get me Ramirez, Park, and Okonkwo. And I want that weird kid from the Gibraltar labs, Ismail." "Wrong how?" Kelso asked. "Wrong like me," Chen replied. "People whose brains are wired to see patterns others miss. People who don't care about conventional approaches." Within a week, Chen's team had transformed their section of the facility into what could only be described as organized chaos. Holographic diagrams floated everywhere. Components from alien technologies had been disassembled and reconfigured in ways that made visiting Confederation engineers visibly uncomfortable. Dr. Ramirez, a quantum theoretician who'd been laughed out of 3 prestigious Earth universities before founding his own research institute, was working with equations that stretched across an entire wall. Park, whose neurotypical processing had made her an outcast until her unorthodox engineering approach revolutionized Earth's power grid, was rebuilding alien components with human modifications. Dr. Okonkwo, whose work in multidimensional mathematics had earned him both acclaim and confusion, was collaborating with Ismail, a 22-year-old savant whose ability to visualize complex systems had been discovered almost by accident when he hacked Earth's global defense network at age 14 to fix inefficiencies. The Arcturian representative, Philip, visited the facility on the 10th day, his elongated features unable to hide his skepticism as he observed the humans at work. "Your approach shows fundamental misunderstandings of quantum coherence principles," he told Chen after watching silently for several hours. Chen didn't bother looking up from the component she was modifying. "Maybe that's the point." "I don't understand." "Exactly." Chen finally turned to him. "You're all trying to fix this system using the same thinking that built it. We're approaching it with fresh eyes." "Fresh eyes cannot compensate for millennia of accumulated knowledge," Philip insisted. Chen shrugged. "Sometimes they can. Your people have been refining the same approach for thousands of years. But what if the original premise was flawed? What if you've been perfecting the wrong solution all this time?" Philip's translator conveyed his incredulity. 12,000 years of development. Wrong. "It happens," Chen said, turning back to her work. "Humans once thought bleeding people cured disease. Took us centuries to question that approach." As Philip left, Ismail looked up from his workstation. He thinks we're going to fail spectacularly. Probably, Chen agreed. But on the off chance we succeed, they'll never look at humans the same way again. Ismail finished with a grin. But 20 days into their allotted time, disaster struck. Their first prototype integration with the existing system caused a cascade failure that shut down the entire facility for 6 hours. The Confederation Oversight Committee was not pleased. This is precisely what we feared. The Medusan representative pulsed angrily in the emergency meeting that followed. Human recklessness endangering critical infrastructure. It was a calculated risk, Chen countered. We learned more from that failure than from 2 weeks of passive analysis. Your learning nearly destabilized the entire quantum field, Philip pointed out. Another such incident could render the Nexus permanently inoperable. Admiral Kelso intervened. My team assures me they've made significant progress despite the setback. We still have 16 days remaining in our allotted time. 10, corrected High Counselor Xarn, who was attending via holographic projection. The Council has voted to reduce your timeline in light of yesterday's incident. The risk is too great. Chen slammed her hand on the table. That's not fair. We need that time. I'm sorry, Dr. Chen. Xarn replied, not sounding particularly sorry. 10 days, or we proceed with the controlled shutdown protocol. After the meeting, Chen's team gathered in their workspace, morale visibly shaken. We need to completely rethink our approach, Park said, her hands fidgeting with a small mechanical puzzle as she spoke, a habit that helped her think. The quantum resonance patterns are more complex than any model predicted. It's not just complex, Ismail said quietly. He'd been unusually silent since the failure. It's adaptive. The Nexus is learning. Chen looked sharply at him. What do you mean, learning? Ismail gestured to his displays. I've been analyzing the failure patterns. The Nexus didn't just reject our integration. It actively reconfigured to counteract it, almost like an immune response. Okonkwo leaned forward, his interest piqued. Are you suggesting the Nexus has developed some form of emergent intelligence? Not intelligence exactly, Ismail clarified. More like evolved complexity. The system has been running so long, with so many modifications and adaptations, that it's developed behaviors beyond its original programming. Chen stared at the facility map, her mind racing. So we've been treating it like machinery when we should be treating it like an ecosystem. Ramirez finished, excitement building in his voice. A quantum ecosystem with its own rules of development and adaptation. For the first time in days, Chen smiled. That changes everything. We need to stop trying to rebuild the Nexus and start trying to heal it instead. DEFYNGVEODDS. The human team worked feverishly under their new paradigm. Gone were the attempts to impose new structures on the quantum Nexus. Instead, they began treating the vast system as a living entity with its own complex self-organization. It's like an ancient forest, Chen explained to Admiral Kelso during one of her brief check-ins. Previous engineers have been clear-cutting and replanting when something fails. We're trying ecological restoration instead. Kelso looked skeptical. And that means what, exactly? We're developing quantum seeds, Park interjected, her eyes bright with excitement. Minimal interventions designed to stimulate the system's self-repair mechanisms. The Nexus wants to be stable, Okonkwo added. That's its baseline state. We're just helping it find its way back there. Their new approach involved creating what they called quantum keystone species, specialized entanglement patterns that could strengthen and support the existing quantum ecosystem. Each was designed to integrate gently, amplifying the Nexus's natural tendencies rather than forcing new patterns upon it. Word of the humans' unusual approach spread through the facility. Most alien engineers regarded it with thinly veiled derision, but a few became curious enough to observe. Among them was Selvik, a young Medusan who had only recently joined the computational collective. Your models defy conventional quantum theory, Selvig communicated after watching Ramirez work for several hours. That's because conventional quantum theory was developed by studying isolated systems, Ramirez replied, not looking up from his equations. The nexus is the opposite of isolated. It's the most interconnected system in the galaxy. But the mathematical foundations are incomplete, Ramirez finished. Our math looks wrong to you because we're accounting for variables your models ignore. Selvig's cloud form rippled with what might have been indignation or curiosity. It was hard for humans to tell. What variables? Quantum emotional states, Ismail said from across the room, completely serious. He's joking, Chen clarified quickly. We call them emotional states as shorthand, but they're really emergent properties of massively entangled quantum systems, behaviors that only appear when you have trillions of entangled particles interacting over thousands of years. To everyone's surprise, Selvig began visiting regularly, asking questions and eventually offering insights from the Medusan perspective. Soon after, a junior Arcturian engineer named Lissith joined their discussions, bringing expertise in the historical development of the relay system. This revelation sparked a new idea. What if that's our answer? Chen proposed to the team. The oldest parts of the system might be the most stable, the core around which everything else has been built. If we could strengthen those foundational pathways. Their quantum keystone approach evolved further, now focusing on reinforcing the original pathways that had operated reliably for millennia. The team worked around the clock, their remaining time dwindling rapidly. On the eve of their deadline, they were ready to test their solution. News had spread throughout the Confederation, and representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness what most expected to be humanity's humiliating failure. The human team had installed their modifications, subtle, almost invisible changes distributed throughout the vast facility. Unlike their previous attempt, there was no central control system, no master program to direct the healing process. They had created conditions for self-organization, and were now essentially asking the quantum nexus to heal itself. Chen stood before the monitoring station, her team gathered around her. Admiral Kelso watched from nearby, along with High Counselor Xarn and the full Oversight Committee. The human attempt will commence, Xarn announced formally. Be prepared for emergency shutdown protocols. Chen took a deep breath, initiating quantum keystones. Now, she activated the sequence. For several moments, nothing happened. The monitoring displays showed no change in the Nexus's deteriorating condition. Whispers began among the gathered observers. The Arcturian delegation was already turning to leave when one of the secondary displays pinged. Energy flow increasing in Sector 7, Park reported, her voice controlled but tense. Quantum coherence strengthening in the primary pathways, added Ramirez. The displays began lighting up one after another. Throughout the vast facility, the ancient quantum pathways were awakening, strengthening, and stabilizing each other in a cascade of self-organization. It's working, Ismail whispered. The ecosystem is rebalancing. The gathered aliens watched in stunned silence as the Nexus's status indicators shifted from critical red to cautious yellow, then finally to stable green. The quantum relay network that connected thousands of worlds was healing itself. Impossible, breathed Thelev, the senior Arcturian engineer. Apparently not, Admiral Kelso replied, unable to hide her smile. Chen's team erupted in cheers, embracing each other as the reality of their success sank in. They had done what hundreds of alien engineers could not, save the backbone of galactic civilization. In the days that followed, technical teams from across the Confederation studied the human solution. Many struggled to comprehend the fundamental paradigm shift it represented. You didn't actually fix anything, one Medusan engineer complained. You just created conditions where the system could fix itself. Exactly, Chen agreed. That was the whole point. 2 weeks after their successful demonstration, the human team was summoned to a formal session of the Galactic Confederation. The Grand Assembly Hall was even more crowded than before, with species from across the galaxy gathered to witness the proceedings. High Counselor Xarn addressed the assembly. We are here to formally recognize the human contribution to the preservation of our connected civilization. Against all probability, they have succeeded where our most advanced societies failed. The humans stood together, still somewhat disbelieving of their own success. The question remains. Xarn continued, how did humanity achieve what eluded the rest of us? The Confederation has studied their solution extensively, and the answer appears to be perspective. Admiral Kelso stepped forward at Xarn's gesture. We approached the problem differently because we had to, she explained. Lacking millennia of quantum engineering tradition meant we weren't constrained by conventional thinking. Our scientists saw patterns that others missed because they weren't trained to ignore them. Chen nodded in agreement. The greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance, but the illusion of knowledge. Sometimes being less advanced gives you an advantage. You question assumptions that others take for granted. Kavarn's tentacles rippled in acknowledgement. The Confederation has voted unanimously to elevate Earth's status from observer to full member, effective immediately. Furthermore, we are establishing a new division within our engineering guild, the Paradigm Innovation Department, to be jointly led by representatives from humanity and other species who demonstrate similar, unconventional thinking. The assembly erupted in applause, expressed in various ways according to different biologies, from the thunderous drumming of the heavy gravity species to the bioluminescent flashing of the energy-based entities. As the ceremony concluded, Philip approached Chen. I must admit, Doctor, I did not believe you would succeed. Chen smiled. That's the beauty of the impossible. It's only impossible until someone does it. A very human perspective, Philip observed. For now, Chen replied. But I think you'll get used to it. The galaxy just got a lot smaller and a lot more interesting. Later, as the human team prepared to return to their ship, Ismail paused, looking back at the quantum nexus facility glowing against the night sky. They said no one could build it, he mused. But we didn't build anything new. No, Chen agreed. We just helped it remember what it already was. Admiral Kelso joined them, her formal uniform exchanged for standard fleet attire. Ready to go home, heroes of humanity. Chen laughed. Heroes today, back to being crazy tomorrow. But yes, I'm ready to see what impossible thing we get to do next. As their shuttle lifted off, the quantum nexus pulsed with renewed energy, connecting thousands of worlds in an intricate web of instantaneous communication. Throughout the galaxy, species who had prepared for isolation instead received news of humanity's unlikely triumph. The impossible, it seemed, was merely a challenge waiting for the right perspective.